Chris Wallace here, advisor to men. Welcome back for part 2 of long-term lust. This week, we're just going to go over strategies. If you read me last week, you know how lust forms between us, how it has to do with the shadow and why this is so important. If you missed long-term lust part 1, get caught up in the preceding video. So let's get started right away. When I think of it, there are about 10 things that I do to maintain the spark in my relationship. Today in Long-Term Lust Part 2, we'll start with an easy one. Date nights. Never stop dating your woman. This is so important. Keep the romance alive with evenings that focus on each other's company, sort of to rekindle the connection between you. Use these as show and tells to tell her how you find her attractive still. Remember, to keep the lust alive, you date her shadow. If you have children, she might be tied to the house. If you can't get away from the house, you still need to put the kids to bed and make yourself something like a candlelight dinner between each other. Do it right in the house if you have. It's up to you to negotiate whatever compromise is required for a chance to keep lust alive between you. You sell her on its importance by reminding her that she's not just about motherhood. She's not just a worker. She's not just a wife. She's her own individual, a sexual human being. So to get in the right frame of mind, think back to when you first dated each other and be that man. That's the challenge. The second thing I want to talk to you about is little surprises. Surprise your partner with unexpected acts of affection and desire. It tells her that you were thinking about her. It's free to be nice. And men hold the reserves of power and love on behalf of the people around them. So a man gives to his women and children for no other reason than because he can. Small gestures with zero expectations can go a long way to igniting passion. For example, each Valentine's Day, I bring flowers home, and sometimes when possible, I try to send flowers to her work so others will know that she's defended. The gals at my missus's work were so impressed when she showed up with a heated vest. They all ordered one. I sometimes tease the missus that she looks like an Italian widow because she wears so much black. A couple of weeks ago, I gave her a new windproof jacket with a hood, all black, of course. Then I got one for my daughter, and she wears it every day. She's 12. So now when mom and daughter go to Starbucks together, they can dress alike in true sisterhood fashion. They love this stuff. Here's another one. Your physiology. You got to defend it. Stay the fuck in shape. Get adequate sleep, have a healthy diet, regular exercise. All of these things contribute to an increased energy and vitality, all of which enhance lust. A good rule is to do some kind of workout every day and never miss 2 days in a row. Don't buy into the dad bod bullshit out there in the culture. Make sure that's not you. If you're fat, admit it and say, that's for lesser men than me, the man I used to be, and go get in better shape. Relatedly, compliment your woman's body. I let my missus know I appreciate her hips. When you take that kind of interest in someone's body, they're invited to look after themselves. By taking care of myself, she does too, because that's the standard that's set between us. Now let's get to another one. Let's prioritize intimacy between us. Set aside time for physical connection and explore each other's desires and fantasies. Be naked in front of each other casually when you're dressing and undressing. That doesn't mean prance around like a fucking idiot, but just little glimpses, little flashes of each other. This is for you. Reserve little glimpses of each other unclothed in a for your eyes only status. More reason to stay in shape. When Mrs. comes out of the shower, she'll come into my office and flash me. I make a big deal about how my heart skips a beat each time. Touch each other kindly and affectionately, but also with a take me theme. If I had to guess, I'd say about every 10 or 20 times that I hug the missus, I also grope her, just because I can. Now let's talk about communication. This is important. Be open and honest about your desires and your needs. Discuss what turns you on and what you want to do to her and what excites you. Listen for clues to what she might like, while realizing at the same time sexual initiation is not usually in a woman's nature. So don't expect that. When my missus catches me looking at a comely woman while we're out, and she lets me know that she noticed that she saw me, that I was noticing, my answer is always the same. I smile and I said, I'd let her do you. To which she will say, "You are such a nasty man," as if I was Caligula himself. Recently, I was sitting at the kitchen table reading something while Mrs. was making the kids' lunches for the next day. I told her, "Well, it says here Gottman recommends that we kiss for 6 seconds, honey. What do you think about that?" So she shrugged and she said, "Well, we better kiss longer." But I could see she was waiting for more. So I told her, if I'm going to lock my lips on her for that long, it better be on a different part of her body. She laughed and told me she knew there was more coming. Then she called me cute. That's me, the cute one. Let's talk about variety. Spice things up by introducing novelty into your intimate life. Explore new experiences together, whether it's trying new positions, locations, or incorporating playful elements. Tell her how you've been thinking of her this way or that way, that you want to do this or that to her. Take her for a walk in the woods and tell her you'd take her in the bushes, on the pine needles. She may say yes. And if not right away, she may agree to it later at some point. The ideal will likely remain on her mind and enhance intimacy between you. Some couples like to use mirrors, sex toys, lotions, positions, language, and places. Give each other an orgasm in the shower. If you can stand it, threaten to chew her out while she's menstruating. I dare you. Chances are she's never going to take you up on the offer anyways. Let's talk about fantasizing together. Sharing each other's desires can be an exciting way to deepen your connection. A good way to do that is while watching a movie or out somewhere. You tell her with a smile, "You'll never guess what flashed through my mind just now." Away you go. One of the things my missus and I do often is tell each other our dreams when we waken in the morning. The idea is to visit each other's shadow side with full acceptance. You're not a prude. Leave that to the sisterhood and the priests. Maybe you tell her that after a date together, you imagine parking the truck or car somewhere dark on the way home and taking her before heading into the house. She may not say much, but she also might mention it a couple of days later. You've planted a seed, and her shadow is responding. It's only a matter of time. Now let's talk about emotional connection. Remember that emotional intimacy is closely tied to physical intimacy. Be supportive, attentive, and affectionate outside the bedroom. Don't be indulgent, but be on her side. There are some key differences between men and women worth mentioning here. This one's an important one. Let's say a gal comes home to tell her husband about a unique work experience. She starts off by saying, "I got singled out for praise today, and I think I'm getting a raise." The husband number one says, "Oh, that's amazing. Where were you? What happened? Who was there? I want to hear the whole story. Tell me all about it." Husband number two says, "Oh, shit. Get a raise. You realize this will bump you into a higher tax bracket, right?" Husband three says, "Man, some people have all the luck. I never get praises or raises." Husband number four says, "What's for supper?" See the difference? Being a good listener doesn't mean that you have to listen to her complain. Tell her to get a girlfriend for that. It also doesn't mean that you can't try to solve problems. I mean, that's what men do. We fix stuff. That's what men do. And never apologize for being a man unless it'll get you laid in that moment. Just defend your connection by being a relive listener like husband number one. What about the other way around? Will you get the same from her? Not this guy. You hold the reserves of power and love for your family. Share your day and even your challenges, but always include a way forward lest you trigger her natural anxiety. Use the rule victor versus victim. This allows her to relax, knowing her powerful defender has things in hand and invites her to brainstorm along with you as a team human partner. Now let's talk about adventure. Exploring new places, trying new activities, and embarking on shared adventures. That can reignite a sense of excitement in your relationship. Your gal needs to know that wherever you are, she's safe with you. She needs to know that if y'all get lost, you're going to source local knowledge and get the two of you back on track. It doesn't matter much if you're walking in the bush amongst the deer and the coyotes and the bears, or visiting a strange new city. Changes of scenery can be like a scary movie to a woman. And speaking of which, scary movies are like foreplay. Keep that in mind. What about getaways? Let's talk about those. If you can swing it, Occasionally plan surprise getaways overnight or even weekends together. Hey, we're leaving next Friday. Be ready. The anticipation of a spontaneous trip can be a powerful aphrodisiac. I try to do one of these per quarter. The break in routine and the new environment calls upon the exploratory, imaginative, curious, and intuitive part of the brain, the master self in each of you. You see, the power of lust in long term love, it's not about trying to recreate the intensity of the honeymoon phase, but rather it's about nurturing desire, passion, and intimacy throughout your relationship, throughout your partnership. By prioritizing intimacy, communication, and a sense of adventure, you can keep the flame burning bright forevermore, ensuring that your long term relationship remains passionate and fulfilling. To me, masculine adaptability means a man can learn to love just about any woman who gives him her respect and her loyalty. Toss in a decent hip to waist ratio and a tolerable smell for good measure. See lust as a manifestation of her loyalty. And people are only loyal to those whom they respect. To a man, such a woman becomes his standard. When he thinks of a woman, he thinks of her. When he imagines naked, it is she he sees in his mind's eye. A vagina to him is hers. Under those circumstances, he barely notices as she ages, because she remains more or less the same gal he first met and dated. To him, in many ways, she never changes. The observation that a woman marries a man and expects him to change, while a man marries a woman and expects her to stay the same, is true at the level of libido, life force, or spirit. For it is her spirit that turned him on and captured his soul. Put lust first, and let love take care of itself. If you have questions, holler or post them in the comments section. I'll answer. Subscribe and tell your friends if you like. In the meantime, stay powerful, true, and free. Thanks for listening.